Hey, hello and good afternoon, everybody, wherever you are in the world. It's great to be here. We are the Happy Homesteaders, the Get Out and Grow crew, the Fresh Air crew, the Fresh Air team, in fact, aren't we, Anna? And I think we've lost John temporarily. He'll be back in just a moment. Lee McGrady has just snuck into the studio. Look at that. Look at that. Perfectly positioned to enjoy a cold beer whilst answering your questions on this gardening Q&A that we do pretty much every Monday of the month, apart from the first. So we won't be here next Monday. But we are here today to answer your questions. How are you, Lee?
Oh, smashing. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah. Nice day in Lisbon?
Pardon?
Nice day in Lisbon?
A fresh day, did you say?
No, a nice day. Well,
probably not a nice day. 36 at 5 o'clock. So a little bit warm.
A little bit warm. A well-deserved beer and smoke for Lee there. Anna, how are you this afternoon?
Yeah, doing well. Had a sort of busiest day, sort of routine, sort of dental trips and all that sort of thing. So yeah, had a busy time and a bit of a sort of gardening experience in Lands Cove yesterday, and did a bit of flower picking in the Hill House cutting garden, which is really good. And then had a little look around Buckfast Abbey as well, and had a little look around the garden up there. So yeah, good time in the outdoors, and yes, temperatures getting just about manageable now. So yeah, not too hot for me now.
We'll come back to those lovely pictures that you have of the lovely English country garden in Devon there, Lands Cove Hill House that you mentioned. It's a quintessential British country garden there in Devon, where John is as well this afternoon. Not in that garden, but in Devon. How are you, John?
Yes, hello.
Well, yeah, you're doing well then, mate. How's your temperature? Not your personal temperature. I mean, your temperature in Devon at the moment.
No, not too bad. About 20 degrees C.
Yes, okay. So manageable.
Yes.
Yeah, it was amazing. Was it only last week when we were talking to those ladies from Palmella and the drama? I mean, it seems like a long time ago, doesn't it? But that was the most extraordinary program when they joined us last week. So normal services resume this week with some Q&A. Before we get started, and thank you to everybody whose questions got bumped from last week. We'll pick up on them this week. But let's return to that Devonian English country garden that Anna mentioned. I don't know if you want to talk us through these, Anna. That's one of the paths there at Lands Cove, isn't it? Or is that Buckfast Abbey? Oh, it could be the Abbey, couldn't it? I think you're muted up, Anna.
I think that was Buckfast Abbey, that one.
Yeah, okay. And then
Lavender, that was Buckfast.
Yeah, look at that, Lee. Isn't that lovely? Very British. I used to be
really enjoying it up there.
When I was a postman in Devon, that was on my round. What a lucky fella I was to have that on my round. That's also got to be another view of Lands Cove there. And lovely windy gravel paths, or is that gravel or is that mulch on there? But very nice, very, very pretty there in Devon in the southwest of the UK. And then back to Buckfast Abbey, which is pretty special as well, Anna?
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. It was nice seeing the weather up there as well. And yeah, yes, I can't actually remember the last time I went to Buckfast Abbey, but it was just sort of ideal to be out and about. And yes, and yeah, I think we actually ended up having some refreshments there. I think because we were going to have some at Lands Cove, and they had the cafe closed for a private function, so so we missed out on the refreshments on that bit. But so we went there afterwards, I think.
I was going to ask you because there's a nice cafe there, and it's also where they make the Buckfast tonic, which in Scotland is known as the Rec de Hoos juice. Now, have you ever tried that, Lee? The old Rec de Hoos.
Yeah.
Terrible stuff.
Mixed in with several other shorts as well. It makes for a cracking beverage late at night.
Yes. Many people will associate Buckfast tonic wine with a sore head. A good evening and then a sore head later on. Okay, well, that's brilliant. Thank you for those pickies, Anna. Thanks everyone for their pictures from all around the world. Let's just get this in before we get started. Mona Lisa, there she is. And that was drawn by Leonardo da Vinci, wasn't it, John?
Indeed it was, yes.
Okay,
yes.
One of my favourite memes I've seen this week.
And you can also fight the lawn, but the lawn will win.
Hey! Okay. And I've got to say thank you so much to all three of you for your wonderful contributions to the Facebook group. The address for that is in the chat already. There we are. That you can find the Happy Homesteaders group there. And your video today, a slow motion panning of soil. Beautiful, Lee.
I've got a new phone.
Oh, I see. So
I've been playing with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it was really superb. I just want to share everybody there we are live on the group. So we do this Q&A every week on our own group there, of course, on Facebook. So I think you're seeing manage the group there because I'm an admin on there. But just to give you an idea of what goes on this week, Anna doing a fantastic job. Lee there with his panning of the soil. I wonder if I push that button. That.
Hello.
Live panning of soil. Well, a recording played live on the show now. I love that, Lee. Thank you so much for that. Cheeky little strawberry there as well that you posted up. And then throughout the week, John and Anna doing an amazing job with various topics like how to attract wildlife to your garden, what not to compost. That was a good article. Thank you for that, Anna. There are about 391,000 species of vascular plants currently known to science, of which 369,000 or 94% are flowering plants. What a miracle that is. Thank you, Anna, for that. And of course, the questions that come in and John posted up. Where are you, John? You've got a fun Friday fact, haven't you, that you post up, of course. Funnily enough, on a Friday. Look at this. Anna's prolific posting. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you for that, Anna. And thank you to John and thank you to Lee as well. Now, that takes us possibly to our first question there. That was last week, wasn't it? And Pete Wilton Davies, he who made the morning tune in one of the theme videos for the early morning show and the outro that we still use. Pete sent this picture in, Lee, and I think you just for everyone else's benefit, because I think it's done and dusted on the Facebook group, isn't it? You thought that was a particular kind of fungus on there on the tree?
Yeah, it's a mildew.
Okay.
I can't remember what it was. I can't really see on that. I saw it on my laptop. I'm on my little giddy phone again, my little phone screen again, and my pins out.
You gave a very comprehensive answer to that, and I thought Sigourney Weaver was going to pop out of that. You said bad case of mealybugs, right?
Mealybugs, that's it. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, mealybugs.
Big problem in Portugal.
Massive problem, especially on very certain plants and trees.
Yeah.
Hydrangeas suffer a lot with them. The eugenias suffer terribly. The young eugenias suffer terribly with them.
Right.
There's several different varieties. That's the white one. There's great insecticides to do with them here, but the best way is alcohol in a spray can. So like the hand wash we've been using for the China virus. Just put that into a spray can and spray it on, and then jet wash it off a few days later.
Okay.
Yeah. It does the trick brilliantly.
All right, good stuff. Thank you very much for that, Lee, picking up on Pete's question earlier on. Anna, what have you got? Anything, or shall I just keep going with catching up?
I think yes, I had that one actually down as the first question, I think, and then yes, I think I've got another one which possibly came in today, I think, and I've just seen another one coming in on the messages.
Yeah. Oh, okay, fantastic. Let's go to those then. Let's say hello to everybody. Oh, Pete's in. Pete and Louise and Suzanne and Phil. Fantastic. Excellent. Thank you for being here, everybody. We can look at Louise's pictures, actually. Well, we've got so many pictures to share this afternoon. But still hot here. Central Portugal, 42. About 106 Fahrenheit this afternoon. Pete, you must be hot as well. Wonder what it is over your way on your thermometer. However, 22 on the Silver Coast and breezy. Simon's in. Good evening, all green-fingered friends from Sci-Fi and Poppy in the UK. All three of you, fantastic. Suzanne Derringer, Botaratorosh. I'm having a lunch in a pub in Washington, D.C., trying to listen to you. Multitasking at its worst. Well, can't you screencast it into the pub screen? That would be fantastic if we could broadcast in there, Suzanne. Ask them. They'll be fine. John, over to you.
Indeed.
I'd love the idea of the screen being blasted onto a screen in a bar in New York. That'd be brilliant.
Yeah. If you forgot to let Anna know about your question or have only just thought of one, let us know here.
Brilliant. Thank you, John. And Pete, figs are coming into season. Saw that we were at a picnic site this afternoon, Parc de Morendas. Isn't it a lovely time of year? I mean, really though, Lee, they're going to be in their full sort of harvest, aren't they? Late August and into September.
Yeah, September is then onwards after that.
All right.
Our fruit trees at the moment are booming as well. We've got loads of small oranges coming on.
Yeah.
The lemon tree that I butchered at the start of last year has bounced back brilliantly.
Yeah.
Apple trees. The apple tree in the garden's got several good apples on it. It's only 3 years old.
Yes.
Oh, it's that time of year. I love it. It's absolutely fantastic.
Fruit. So it's not a cooking show though, is it? So what do you do with your excess figs, and what do people give back to you? I presume you give them away and expect something in return.
Well, we don't have a fig tree. We don't have a fig tree in the garden, but I've got 4 on my round, so I get given plenty.
Delicious.
Well, I kind of take my stuff out. Last week I was tomatoes. I had bags of tomatoes that I'm dropping off at customers' houses.
Yeah.
It's great fun. It's one of the things I actually enjoy about working here is getting to swap the fruits around.
Yeah, beautiful. And fig jam, Pete. Fig jam's got to be a good place to go with your surplus there. And I'm sure we'll do more as we were overwhelmed throughout the late summer. We'll have more. I think Lee might allow us a few recipes, even though it's not.
I'll have to get my mother-in-law on the show because she's. I've been taking stuff home and she's been making some cracking dishes with it. Stuff that I would never have thought of, but she speaks no English, so we'll have to do a translation bit with her.
Is that helpful when you have a Portuguese mother-in-law that she can't speak to you in English?
Very helpful.
Result. Okay, mate. Fantastic. Her figs. We also have tons, says Phil. And hi, Pete from Louise. I was worried about you. Are you safe from fires in the Fundara? I think it's fairly quiet today, isn't it, Pete? I know there was over by Penamacor, east of Coimbra, there was a bit of a blaze today. Keeping an eye on that for everybody. If anyone has got any news, do let us know. And of course, stay in touch on fogwash.pt or prosiv.pt. Pete's all right at the moment. We're great. Thank you so much. We have been lucky so far. Can't use any machines, so just have to laze in the pool. Well, that's not so bad, is it?
On Saturday, I was over in Palmella.
Yeah.
Way, doing a land clearance job.
Yeah.
And that was brought on because of the fire. So it was kind of a rush job, but we were literally a stone's throw from the blackened hills and charred. Yeah, it was terrible. It was as we were working all day. It was just in the backdrop there. It was just on the hill next to us.
Horrible.
It was terrible to see.
Yeah. And this is a photo from our guests of last week. Their food forest just about survived that. But yeah, you can see the whole landscape that Lee's talking about there. Louise, while we have you on the screen, and you're saying we're fine thanks to Pete, early mornings building a new water tank before it gets too hot. No fires as yet in our municipality. Well, good for you, Louise. Let's have a look at your photos that you very kindly sent in. We've also got some from Eric as well, which is fantastic. In Mexico, there's a praying mantis. Always fantastic to see a praying mantis. These you must get up close and personal with, Lee, before you realize what's going on. As a gardener, you might be strimming or pruning close to these fellas.
I'm sure I said this before. I'm a bit of a keen photographer, and when I first started dating Sandra, she was working. I'd go out with my camera every day, looking for wildlife to photograph, and I couldn't find anything. Right. Now I'm a working gardener. I bump into stuff like that every day. If it's not a praying mantis, it's a snake. If it's not a snake, it's a hornet's nest. The place is fantastic for it.
It is, isn't it? And I'm just trying to upload a snake skeleton. We found Mrs. M saw a spine of a snake in the ground, and then I gave a little bit of poke about with a stick. And we found what? As you do. No, it's very human, that, isn't it? But there it is, a nice close up. I mean, it's completely not petrified, but dehydrated. It had been there some time, but the head and the eye is still intact, and you can see the teeth, the fangs of the snake on there. That's what's going to hurt, isn't it, Lee? When that fella gets his teeth into you like that, that's what hurts, isn't it? With a little snake.
They're not, the snakes in Portugal aren't dangerous. We've got the only really one is the adder, but that's the same in the UK. Okay. But they're just a bit more widespread here. But again, they're mainly in the north, so I've only seen one down here in the Greater Lisbon area.
Happy times.
But the ones we come across are all the whip snakes and the legless lizards. and they are completely harmless. They give you a bit of a fright because they sort of snap at you.
Yeah.
But there's no poison in them, no venom in them. You pick them up and move them away.
And you're armed. You've got a knife there. So there's
but I genuinely wouldn't hurt them. I quite like them, and I'm trying to convince all my customers that they're a good thing.
Yeah, of course.
They control everything else.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so nice mantis there and some produce. Look at the colour there. Cucumbers and tomatoes. That's some of the tomatoes from our back garden there. But thank you very much. I think this is yours as well, Louise. That lovely variegated flower. Is that a lily of some sort? It looks like a lily to me. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but that's beautiful, actually. Let me leave it on the screen for everybody to enjoy, because I need to find out what you said about these pictures when you sent them in, Louise. Thank you so much for doing so. And here we go. I found your message now. Thank you very much for this. You say, Botarka, hoping that you are enjoying the cooler weather. We've had a really good time of it on the Silver Coast, thankfully. Thank goodness. Thank you, Louise, for asking. Just 3 pickies tonight. Mutant Mirabilis. That's what that is. A Mutant Mirabilis. A bowl of Tom's, cucumbers, and a variegated. Yes, it's a variegated mantis that you've sent the picture in there. So not just plants, but creatures as well that can be variegated too. Fantastic. Eric, also sending in pictures. We'll come back to some more comments in just a moment, but we missed these last week. Sorry, Eric, with that. But what do we have from Eric? We've got some lovely produce. A watermelon hanging down. So eventually, Lee, that's got to hit the ground, doesn't it? And be supported by the ground when it gets really big and ready for harvest.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You can support them off the ground while they're still small, and I recommend you try to do that because you don't want them to be on the wet soil for too long. But when they get really big, you want to pack a bit of straw or something underneath them, so they're not sat on the direct damp soil.
Okay.
A little bit of one of the old guys I used to know in Rochdale, he would use egg boxes just to keep them mounted off the floor. There was just anything to keep them from being on direct contact with damp soil.
Hold on a minute. Watermelons in Rochdale?
Yeah, you grow them indoors. Yeah, you grow them in the greenhouses. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, I didn't know that. Okay. All right. And this is the person who had the ant problem. You remember that from last week, Anne? And we'll come back to that. That's a bit of an ant problem. Now, that's a passion flower by the look of it, isn't it? Oh, yeah, maracuja. That's what you're calling it, Eric, in Mexico. A passion flower, yeah, maracuja. These big flowers turn into fruits and have a nice taste. Yeah, I do love a passion fruit. They're in the pipeline at the moment, aren't they? And your final picture, I believe. Oh, yeah, your cactus there. Look at that. Do you like growing cactuses or cacti and succulents, Lee?
No, not my thing, really. But I mean, I appreciate them. I like seeing them in other people's gardens, but they're not my thing. No.
All right. Now this has got a name. I don't know if it's like a Christian name, first name
James.
Sort of thing. Or Nopal they've called it. I don't know if that's the breed or the pet name they've got for it. You have to wait until they have 3 sons, grandchildren, to start eating them. So you can eat these, can be used for soups and stews, etc. Greetings from Eric, who's doing great. Lots of gardening happening. Also helping some friends with an eco home and 2 hectares of fertile land. Great. It's going to be great. Fantastic. Lovely to hear from you, Eric. We're doing great over here. Thank you very much indeed. Yes, ants, Lee. Did this get to you in the end? The ant question that we had last week?
I don't think I picked up.
Now that wasn't ants. That was a couple of goldfish. We'll go back to the goldfish.
I was trying to work that out. Then
Yeah, no, sorry. Okay, let's try this video here. Yeah, there we go. There's your ants destroying something, and that was who sent that in. That is from Pedrogo Grande in central Portugal. No dig grower in central Portugal by the name of Annie, I think. Was it Annie that we had, Anna, last week asking that question? I think it was, wasn't it? Question, get out and growers. Ant attack. Looks like my young aubergine eggplants are being invaded by these black ants. I found a hole in the stem of each one. Does the team have any advice to stop this happening next year? Are my plants doomed? Are they doomed, Lee?
It really depends how big and how deep the hole's gone. If it's gone all the way through the stem, or it's like a big part of the stem, then yeah, it's not really gonna survive.
Oh dear.
But if they just took little nibbles out of it, then it'll be no problem. I can't really see the
It
pictures.
it looks like they've gone right inside and hollowed out the stem there. Probably gone.
Yeah, it's probably gone because once it gets any weight on it, it won't be able to sustain itself.
Oh dear.
So
yeah,
yeah,
the aubergine is going to be a big, heavy fruit on there, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a big, heavy fruit. So it might start to develop the fruit, but as soon as that fruit gets weight on it, even if you bend it on a cane, it's gonna cause damage, more damage than it can stand.
My mistake. It's not Annie, it's Katie. It's Katie over near Pedroga Grande. Sorry about getting your name wrong, Katie, and sorry that the news isn't better. What you meant to do, like to wash them off sooner than before they get infested like that?
Well, ant treatment's a funny one because there's not really what you can do apart from use chemicals on them. Nippon do a great range of ant chemicals, none of them environmentally friendly.
Right.
I've only really found one, and I can't think what the company's called, but they sell a small white, almost like a small wax sweet looking thing, and you put them down, and the ants tricked into thinking it's eggs, and they carry them back into the nest, and that causes a fungal disease. It kills the nest out. And they're meant to be a bit more environmentally friendly because it doesn't affect anything else. It takes the humidity of the ant nest to create the fungus that's planted inside this little poison. I'll post a picture of the stuff I've been using.
Wow. Okay, that's quite devious, isn't it? That approach.
Yeah, but with ants, you're kind of buggered. Well, especially if it's in containers, it's just kind of a clear out and start again.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because you can't win with them. If you leave a dozen, then they'll just come straight back and start again. We have a bit of an issue here in our terracotta pots with them, and as soon as I see them, I have to clear them out and just start again because I know it's going to get worse.
Really? Okay. And they are so hard working, you don't really stand a chance, do you?
I don't like to mess with them, to be honest, because first of all they bite, and it's never nice. And second, I kind of like them. I kind of like the idea of them, so I don't want to overdo on the killing of them. But in your veg bed, it's kind of necessary.
Yes. Okay. So, Katie, sorry, it's not better news. Be more vigilant if that's possible. No disrespect to you there, but you got to catch them before that sort of thing happens, as we've seen in the pictures there, where they're hollowing out the stems, basically. I know
a lot of people use boiling hot water and washing liquid.
Yeah.
But you have to do it regular, and it always concerns me what sort of damage you're doing to the ground as well when you're doing that.
Yeah.
So it's trying to find a balance between the two.
That's wholesale destruction. It pouring boiling water into the earth like that. Yeah. Okay.
Well,
Team Anna or John, if you've seen anything in the chat you want to pick up on, feel free to go ahead and ask Lee as well, of course. And simple question from Phil. Hi, Phil. Good to have you here this afternoon. What is the recommended approach to Asian wasps, the hornets, especially around the honeybee hive? What's your experience of these, Lee?
Kill them all immediately.
Fire! No, not fire.
I've done 4 this year now. I've done 1 here in the outhouse actually. 4 or 5 weeks ago, we found one. I don't know if you can see that. Just there.
Yes, we can.
It was building just there. That was the second one of the year. I've done 2 more since. I just put my PPEs on, the stuff I normally wear for chemical use.
Yes.
Thick gloves, paper suit, and I take a small bag and I scrape the nest into the bag. Then I hang around with a insecticide spray. And when the hornet returns to the nest, I just spray the sky with it and let him. I think it was on the show when I killed it the last time. I think it was actually on the show when I killed this one.
Yes, we did have that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so no mercy with these creatures.
No. And to be honest, I don't think we're going to win because they're here and they're here in massive numbers. It's a grey squirrel all over again.
Is it?
Yeah. But you've got to try, haven't you, yourself?
All right. There you
especially
go.
around the beehives and the native wasp hives, because they will take over and they'll kill everything.
Yikes.
So there's no mercy with them.
No mercy, Phil. I don't know if you've what else you've read, Phil, and what other suggestions you might have heard, but running past Lee here. Hi, Pete. Figs can be used in sweet and savoury dishes, quite diverse. Yeah. True. So you can mix them up on your board, can't you, of cheeses and meats, as well as making a jam or having them in a pudding. So yeah, they are pretty versatile and delicious. I mean, straight from the tree when they're still warm in the sun, they're so delicious. And some people even eat the skin. Go on, John.
I was just gonna say Phil Ruff has another question.
Go on, mate.
Which is pine versus eucalyptus mulch. Which is better for what?
Pine.
Building soil here, something to keep the soil moist under the fruit trees: citrus, olives, plums, apples, peach, pear.
Pine is better by far. The bark on the off the pine is just so long lasting. Here in Portugal, the heat is so intense. Even the pine mulch doesn't really last a full season. Won't get you through a full summer without having to top it up. The eucalyptus chippings, they just kind of dry up and blow away in the wind. I've had no real success with them.
Okay, which is a shame, isn't it? Because they're in plentiful supply. But
yeah, it is a shame because it's a god awful tree. If you could find a good use for the leftovers, it'd be brilliant.
Yeah.
But yeah, they don't hold water the same as the pine do. The pine chippings and mulch is a much heavier product.
Yes.
It retains water better. It sits on the ground better. Where the eucalyptus just dries up and blows away.
Okay, there you go. Pine every time. Phil, I think Lee answered that before. John had even got to the end of the question there. I'm pretty
John.
No. I think it was your keenness to get that one right for Phil there. Anna, anything else come in that you're aware of?
There's a question from Carmen, who's in Kansas, and there's extra zone information. Zone A, it was 5B, and it says in a few months we'll be in zone 4 or 5.
Oh, yeah.
Here we can plant new plants and trees in the early fall to grow roots over the winter and be stronger in the spring. Can that still be done, or should you wait until spring after the frosts?
That's some serious jargon there, wasn't it, Lee? Did you get all?
Yeah.
Can you speak those languages?
And I'll be quite honest with you, I have not got a clue what she's talking about when she goes for the zones. I know where I live, and I know how it works here. Yeah. I know it works in Scotland, and I know it works in England. So someone could tell me my old zones of where I used to live, then I'm sure I better work it out. Yeah. But I mean, the question is a good question without knowing the zone things. If you're going to get a frost, you need to grow your seedlings indoors or under protective cover. I used to start my toms in Manchester, and I imagine would be zone Z because it was freezing. I'd start my toms there in very, very early spring, almost like the very end of winter.
Yeah.
But they were in a temperature-controlled greenhouse. So I never really had any fear of the root damage from the frost. So I'd always wait till you either guaranteed the final frost has gone, or if you can grow early under cover or indoors, then you can start pretty much as soon as the daylight hours get long enough for the seeds to start to germinate. That's always been my thing. Has always been more daylight hours than the fear of the cold weather. Yeah. Well, you need the longer daylight hours to get seeds to germinate.
Yes.
That little bit of warmth in the air and that longer period of daytime. So, from the question she's asking, if she's got somewhere undercover or somewhere she can heat, or even start them indoors in the kitchen on the windowsill.
Yes.
You can start that right at the end of winter. If you're gonna grow outdoors, then you want to wait till the final frost, very sort of mid-spring, early spring. It should be fine.
All right, lovely job. Cheers, Lee. Who was that, Anna, and where were they in the world?
That was Carmen, who is in Kansas.
Oh, okay. All right.
I think that's a new one. Is it a new viewer? Hello.
I think so. Yeah.
Carmen in Kansas. Yes, lovely to have you here, Carmen. Or you might see this later on. So yeah, let us know what you think about that, Carmen, if you will. Gave away, says Louise, 2 kilos of tomatoes, 6 cucumbers, and 10 courgettes last week, and we'll pick the same about tomorrow. Isn't that fantastic, Chris?
I had a massive courgette. I will take a photograph to show you. And the mother-in-law's cut it up and used it for cooking already. Yeah. I've been saving it. It just disappeared.
You could just pat your belly. We believe you.
Oh,
Good evening, all.
Been
Says
a
Chris.
brilliant year for courgettes this year.
Hey, did you go across to this his mate's bluegrass jam across on Traffaria? I don't know if
No.
you've been across. It's on your side of the water, isn't it, Traffaria? A really interesting spot where the ferry goes.
Trafferia's this side, isn't it? It's Caprica side.
That's right. That's right. And very interesting. A little bit industrial. Some nice little restaurants on the quay there. The ferry goes.
I know the area really well. Yeah, it's a good spot.
Cooking breakfast there. What are you eating this morning, Chris? Are you eating one of those American breakfasts with grits and cornbread and funny bacon that we do, and eggs with all different kind of nicknames and stuff over there? Let us know, Chris. We'll be picking blueberries in a few days here in Washington State, and I think Phil was keen to know from Suzanne how hot it was in Washington. How you doing, everybody in Washington? This morning, obviously, if you're having your breakfast. Although it could be a late one. The leaves and the sap of the fig are also useful for tisanes and herbal concoctions. Simon seems to know a thing or two, doesn't he, about the alternative uses of the botanicals?
I've seen sap from fig trees being used before in like skincare products.
Nice.
Yeah, if you're into that kind of thing. But I knew a guy that used to get it on his fingers purposely. He used to tap them. He used to tap the tree and get it all over his hands. He said it was brilliant for his eczema or something like that. Not eczema, the other one. The one that's similar to eczema but worse. Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Or cirrhosis. Yeah, okay.
Cirrhosis. Right. Cirrhosis, that's the one. Yeah.
Very interesting. Okay, thank you for that, Simon. And Eric is here. Good evening, all. Thanks, Eric. I hope you saw our earlier featuring of the photos that you very kindly sent in. Fig jam sounds great. Thank you so much. Just a big shout out to Lee and the Expecting Sprog. Yes. What going with that?
Thursday. She's booked in for Thursday.
My goodness. Okay. Well, lots
of by Friday Man Cave, there might be a new member.
Oh, fabulous. Marvelous news. Okay. Congratulations on growing a baby, mate. Yeah, you're so skilled, Lee, aren't you?
I really didn't put much effort into growing it, to be honest.
Well, I hope you put some effort into it. Cool. Dehydrated snake. Cheers, Pete. We have saved 2 praying mantises in the pool, but the vultures nearly mistook us for prey. That's going to be pretty frightening, isn't it? When you're just leaning into the pool and taking out a praying mantis there, and you see the shadow getting bigger and bigger on the pool, and it's a vulture approaching you from behind, a little bit like the seagulls do to Anna's ice creams in Devon. We had a pretty close encounter with eight vultures. So they come and have a little go at you, do they, Pete? Tell us more about that. Have you seen them, Lee?
I've seen them maybe in Portugal, yeah.
Right. Okay.
But only from a good distance. I believe Pete gets them right on the balcony.
Some big ones. Okay.
So.
Right.
I'm a little bit jealous of Pete's place, to be honest.
That was a mirabilis there. The you called it a mutant mirabilis, I think, didn't you? With a different colouring there, and the snake that Pete was talking about. If you join us a little bit later on, is this creature here on a macro shot with the phone this afternoon. Talking as we were about ants hollowing out plants, Lee. I wanted to ask you about this one. I was taking the dogs out, we're going up this lane here. And this tree had fallen across the path. Now, I don't know if you can see this on your phone, but the hole that had been made in the tree was so perfect, and it was one of many in the bark. Is that a woodpecker that's got in there and eventually destroys the tree?
Well, it could very well be a woodpecker. Right. We get the 3 common varieties here: the spotted, the lesser spotted, which Anna gets in her garden, and we also get the big green woodpecker here, regular. Yeah. I mean, it's quite common. And they start the destruction of the tree. But they'll only really bother a tree that's already past its best, where they know they can get an easy access. But once they've left, they leave room for the termites and the wood ants, and they're the destroyers of the tree. Okay. I've been to a few big pines that the wood ants are into, and they've ate it inside out. It's been dangerous to cut down. Because they've virtually hollowed it out. Yeah, they are. And
then it becomes a dangerous structure that just falls over at a push like this thing.
Yeah, literally. You could just lean on it. And there's no guaranteeing which way it's going to go. You can't do it with a chainsaw. It's just dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the wood ants we have back in the UK are amazing little creatures. Well, not little, large creatures. And they build massive nests sort of 1.5 meters high in the
Yes.
woodland on the floor.
Yeah.
The ones here in Portugal, they're a similar size ant, so they're quite large, but they predominantly stay in the tree and just eat it from the inside out, and use the mulch that they chew up as their hibernation and incubation for their eggs.
Yes.
Yeah, phenomenal creatures.
It's phenomenal, isn't it? And if you look closely on this, if anyone can see this on their screen at home, the holes that the woodpeckers make are so perfect as well, aren't they? They are those two are miraculous. As craftsmen, you know, they're amazing.
If you go back with a tape measure tomorrow,
yeah,
and measure the size of the hole, you can tell which sort of woodpecker made it.
Oh, superb!
Because each of the 3 woodpeckers make different size holes, and they're always pretty much spot on. It's some genetic code got in their head, and they just need a hole this big, or they need a hole a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can measure them and find out which sort of woodpecker it is.
All right. The ant remedies or anti-ant measures are still coming in. Phil is hoping that he might be able to use diatomaceous earth to kill the ants and most of the insects. What do you make of diatomaceous earth there, Lee?
I've never really seen great success with it. This is going back a few years, though. This is going back 7 or 8 years when we did a bit of a test with it, and I never saw any real difference with it. It was expensive as well.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know what the product's like now. I don't know if it's improved any since, but yeah, I didn't rate it at the time.
It's a really it's quite a dangerous thing, I think, to have, because it upsets other creatures, doesn't it? Because it's a really fine particle on it, and I suppose that's what's killing the ants. But then you can cause harm to other creatures, can't you? Because you're dealing with a very fine and sharp powder, I think, effectively, aren't you?
Yeah, it's you've got to weigh up the cost of the product and what you're going to produce and gain from it.
Yeah.
And if it's more expensive than the products you're producing, then you're just throwing your money away. You might as well go and buy your tomatoes.
Okay.
But I know it was used a lot. It was used a lot around osters and plants that suffer a lot with slug damage.
Yes.
That I can see the point. And if you want to grow a phenomenal oster, and they are difficult to grow, especially in England where the climate is so slug and ant friendly, then surrounding it with a soil that's going to stop the slug and the snail from getting to it.
Yeah.
You're spending your money to preserve a plant, but when you're doing it to preserve lettuce, how much are you wasting? You know, it's all down to the bottom line, I suppose.
All right, here's another one. Against the ants, you can make an insecticide, in inverted commas, from the surotant's nightshade leaves and fruits. Spray it on the affected plants. Works perfectly as biological pest control.
I butchered hundreds of them this weekend, and I actually thought about taking some with me and trying this.
Yes.
But by the end of the day, I was so tired I couldn't be bothered picking them up.
Is that the nightshade that everyone would recognise as deadly nightshade?
Yeah, it looks like a cross between deadly nightshade and a tomato plant. It's like a darker version of a tomato, and the fruit on them are at this time you had really small black seed heads or pods. I'll have to find one and take a photograph and show you, because they are. Apparently, they're used quite widely in other parts of the world for insecticides and fungicides.
There you go.
And I did for a minute consider it, then realised I had too much to do. So, yeah,
fair play. Well, Eric, thank you for that. Pete says that a strongly worded sign will help keep ants away. Is it in Portuguese or English that you have to do that? I mean, what language are we talking about here, Pete? Taking you seriously for a moment. We get wasps in our post box. We spray inside the post box every few weeks to keep the wasps out. They like the paper, don't they? That comes in the mail. So do the slugs.
Well, it's the glue that's on the envelopes. So it used to be the glue that's on the envelopes that actually attracts them. It's got a really strong smell.
Yes.
So I'm led to believe you as an ex-postman might know more about it than me.
Well, I never got a nibble off a wasp. I've been the most times I've been stung by wasps has been here in Portugal in a sort of house renovation where they just go to sleep, and then you stick your hand around a bit of wood or something, and then you find yourself thinking, "What has just gone into my finger?" And there'll be a little wasp sting or quite a big wasp sting. But mainly dogs in Devon. Not
I
wasps.
got 2 last week. I got stung twice last week.
Kind of wakes you up,
Well-
doesn't it? It wakes you up from your
Well-
slumbers.
The laurel bushes are in flower at the moment, and they also really need pruning. Everyone's got these laurels. These getting laurels in the gardens here,
Yeah.
and they're full of wasps and hornets at the moment and bees. And it's that time of year when I've got to prune them and deal with it. So I've had one on my thumb and one on my small finger on the
Yeah.
other hand.
Well, that's
but
good for the
it's-
arthritis. Good for the arthritis.
That's solely say. Yeah.
Yes,
But
indeed.
yeah.
Temperature
Professional
in Washington, Tacoma, 87. Thank you for that, Chris. Still haven't found out. Oh, we are hearing about his breakfast now. Breakfast today in Tacoma: burrito with a fresh tortilla, red bell peppers, chicken, cheese, garbanzo beans, and a lovely side of sour cream scallions. Oh, stop it! He's just showing off.
Sounds good.
Now, scallions, sriracha, and cilantro. That sounds fantastic, Chris. Now, I wish I hadn't asked you now. What's this about? Lee, should I bury the towels to stop bugs and ants? Is this another sort of old wives' tale from Capricorn Chris?
Chris had his towel stole from the Airbnb this week or last week, and we've been whining about it. So that's a bit of a private joke, I think.
Okay, so you'd like to throw the towel in, but you can't because someone's borrowed them. Okay, sorry, Chris. We found some little ant houses. Look, this is the flavor of the day, not literally, but sometimes a theme captures the imagination of our audience, doesn't it? We found some little ant houses in Ocean, and they go in and take a virus back to the colony, and they got rid of all the ants around the house. So there you go. There's another sort of pesticide, biological, possibly. I don't know.
I imagine it'll be the same fungus that I was talking about earlier, where you can buy in the shaker form. But it's just inside a container. So the ants go in the container and come out with the same fungus.
All right, an old school. Look at this. If you try throwing raw rice on the ground, you can get a direct hit, but it takes ages. The ants think the rice are babies, so try to save them, but in the end, they all die because it sounds a bit cruel, but I guess it could work, couldn't it? And they're exhausted lifting rice back and forth, which don't turn into babies. Raphael is here, sticking your hand around wood, Carl. Sounds like you and Lee have been spending too much time together. Go away, Raphael. We're trying to be grown-ups here. Love the idea. DE works well for us. Diatomaceous earth. Phil's liking that. And does sound brilliant at Christmas. Yeah, that breakfast. I really seriously do wish I hadn't asked. That sounds like the breakfast, the sort of breakfast you can only really get in the States, I think, with that kind of depth and detail in a breakfast. Anyway, we're happy with egg and bacon, aren't we? Us from the UK here, and maybe beans occasionally if it's a special occasion, Ailey. Okay, thanks everybody. Anything we've missed there, John or Anna? This has been a great session this evening. I think we're all good, aren't we?
I can't think of anything. No.
Marvelous. Well, that just about does it then. That was all the pictures covered, I think. I've just got a little video to show you of a duck, everybody. This duck that we adopted, could sit in your hand and be all vulnerable and little. And I think just a few weeks, this thing has grown into a flipping monster in our garden. So I understand if you've got to go, John. I'll just play this to say goodbye. Oh, I've got 2 videos. I've got Deagle's goldfish and then my duck. So we'll go out with those, and we'll thank you very much. Won't be here next week, will we, John? We'll be here in 2 weeks' time with Lee answering more of your fantastic questions. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Anna. Thanks, John. Thank you, Head Gardener McGrady.
Good night.
Cheers, mate.
Show.